time for Common Man. Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Game plan looks like. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Oh, that out there was so who that can be tempted? We that can be tempted. We that can be tempted. You always love that one. Super San Diego. Super Diego. Super San Diego. Super What up? What about that?
I'm confident that we'll be world champions. That's what I've said right from the start, and I'm still confident of that.
All the defensive backs covering are just atrocious today for the Minnesota Vikings.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
A lot of people who work at the radio station will call this time of the year the sports abyss. I've never understood. I mean, I understand what it means. I'm already struggling for the word I want. I've never fell into that trap. That narrative. I mean, I understand that once the Viking season ends, and we know that NFL is king, especially here with the Vikings. It is the most followed and most beloved, maybe even hated sometimes, a sports franchise here in town. But I've always thought, well, there are still many other sports going on if you want to go down the road of sports. Sports is your whole life, just sports. And I actually enjoy the challenge. I'm well known for my show preparation and my digging deep into I've eaten the sports pages before. But there are days where there's not much going on, and you do find yourself, maybe there is something to this abyss stuff. And today was one of those days for me, and then it lands right in your lap. And this is not a good thing. But you told me the news. I heard you listening to the Paul Allen Project, which I thought you never listened to the Paul Allen Project. I was kind of surprised. But you were at
when you hear Bill Guerin is going to appear on the Paul Allen Project to talk about Kaprizov, then I tuned in.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. So I was surprised that you are listening to the Paul Allen Project. So I thought to myself, being the Columbo that I am, being the detective that I am, the world's greatest private dick, I I said, well, there must be something going on with the Wild because he's talking Wild, Tenneby's listening. It can't just be, hey, Wild play tonight or the other night. And sure enough, you told me. And this was after I went into Swedberg's office. I found Swedberg's a country and Western, one of the, probably the most important person in country and Western music that's not a recording artist or worked for a record label or is a, an agent or a manager for somebody. He's been selected in the past as the most influential country and Western music radio programmer in the country. And when I came in, I saw there was you could tell it was a box, and there was an album in there, right? Not a picture album, but a record album, right? And so I brought it into his studio, into his office, and I said, I just found this with your name on it. This might be the next biggest star since Conway Twitty, and we just don't know. You know what Pat Knight said? He goes, what's it from? I said, BMG. He said, it's Lainey Wilson. Open it up, it's Lainey Wilson. He knew. That's how he knows country in Western music. But you could tell by the look in Swedberg's face that he was somewhere else.
Yes.
That he wasn't, he loves the nonstop nonsense, the tomfoolery and skullduggery. He tolerates the free show. Whether he enjoys it or not, I don't know. But I could tell, and he said, it's Kaprizov. And then I said, it all came together for him. He said, now I know why Tenneby is listening to the Paul Allen Project. There has to be something with Kaprizov, and apparently he's undergoing surgery. I asked you, I said, is it season ending? You said, we don't know that yet, but it's certainly there is surgery, and that means he will be on the shelf for an extended period of time. Would that be accurate to say?
Well, I said minimum 4 weeks.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't be so bad. That's
well, if
not
you hit
good.
the minimum, yeah.
Yeah, if you hit the minimum.
They didn't give you a maximum, so.
Right. And they didn't tell us which body part is going under the knife, correct?
Lower body.
Lower body. Scrotum? Testicles?
Might be near there. My guess is it's in that area, the hip area, the groin area.
I don't know if I brought this up to you. Speaking of the scrotum, this reminds me of something. You know what people will, like football players will like, well, they've got that thing going on where in football now where the my cleats, and these football players will have cleats that they wear for a game that are the design of their unique football shoes. They have like pictures on them or paintings or whatever. And they are, it's always, I think the theme of those shoes is some kind of a charity, right? Something that they really believe in, like, fighting cancer or fighting homelessness or whatever the case may be, right? And Tenneby, you'll oftentimes, I'm sure, when you'll go to golf tournaments or whatever, you'll see there'll be silent auctions or live auctions, and people have items. I'm often asked for something to auction off, and people always want something unique and one of a kind. You know what I think I'm going to auction off?
I'm afraid.
The rolled up athletic socks that I use to elevate my scrotum.
Game used, game worn?
Correct.
Show worn?
Correct. I can see by the look in your, even though it's hard to see you, I think that's something you'd bid on. I can see in your eyes. What do you think anybody would bid on that? They just show a rolled up athletic sock sitting, you know how you go by the table, they have all the items there. And some of them I feel bad because they'll have like some, I shouldn't say this, but they'll have some average local football, basketball, baseball, or hockey player, right? You're not a star. It's like if you see a
Yakov Trenyan.
Yeah. If you see a hockey stick autographed by the guy we're talking about, Kirill
Kaprizov.
You go, hey.
Thousands.
Yeah, I think I might want to do that. Or if you see Sam well, maybe not. But if you saw who would be a Viking that you'd go?
Ed Ingram.
Yeah, Eddie Ingram, right? Justin Jefferson, autographed game-worn jersey. What do you think that would go for, right? So you're and everybody's kind of just going by the silent auction and they're looking at stuff and, I kind of like that. It's a gift bag. It's got like some Italian restaurant has donated pasta and sauce and bread. And you know what? Opening bid has to be $20. You write down $20 and you move on. And you go check every once in a while. How about you're wandering by and you see a rolled up pair of white athletic socks and you go, well, these are the ones Meat Sauce must have picked up. And when he went to Target and actually came away with Home Alone 2 Blu-ray DVD. And then you take a closer look and you go, the socks used to elevate common scrotum after hernia surgery. Priceless.
It's one of a kind.
One of a kind. You could put them on a chain and wear them around your neck. There's so many things you could do with them. You could elevate your scrotum with them if you needed to do that.
Question.
Yes.
Was it washed before it was given away?
I don't know. I mean, if that's a requirement.
I
don't get that Schvetty. We're just sitting around the house, So I don't think that would be an actual issue, but. So anyway, that's my idea. If somebody needs, because I'll often, hey, could you donate something? People, they'll want me to donate a round of golf with the Common Man. And I usually, sure, I can get some golf course to donate the greens fee and the cart. And okay, we'll do it. I do a handful of those a year. But this would be special, I really think. I think people would really appreciate something like that. I think it's out there for people's consideration. So anyway, I want to talk about the Kaprizov thing. Does this at all change the approach to the season, where we've been, where we're going, where we're at? I think we're all surprised with the success we've had to this point. The Kaprizov injury and others. The team was at one point early on in the season, they were a well-oiled machine. They were like a snowball rolling downhill, right? Picking up steam. And then
they were the Skatriots.
Yeah, they were the Skatriots. And then injuries and, what we, even though we were losing some, we were still winning some. And we've been staying in a pretty nice position. Trade deadline. When is that?
It's in March for the NHL.
So there's still time to think about that.
Month and change away.
Would we have gone trade deadline? Should we now? Should we put everything on hold? I'm going to see what Tennessee thinks about that. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Plus, we'll take a peek at the purple. Other stories to get to as well. Here on the Common Man program on the Fan, and Tennessee's got a keyword, I believe, to try to put $1,000 in somebody's hand.
Yeah, the Fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword bonus at KFAN.com right now for a shot at winning. The keyword is bonus. Enter now at KFAN.com.
Fan.
Come hang out with the Common Man at 5 Iron Golf in Minneapolis on February 6th.
Oh, boy!
Join the official and unofficial ambassador for Minnesota Golf at 5 Iron's newest location in North Loop from 5 to 7 p.m. Check out their simulators where you can play iconic courses, enjoy chef-inspired dishes, craft cocktails, and enter to win great prizes. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Think about it. You'll get to verbally slap me on the back, touch the hem of the garment, hit knockdown, punch, fade, cut, draws, and maybe I'll bring those rolled up athletic socks and you can
auction them off.
Well, no, you can just grab them, squeeze them, feel them. Like rolled up socks might be kind of fun. The cat is now out of the bag. I will be there for the grand opening. February 6th is a Thursday from 5 to 7. Would be delighted and excited to see you there. We're going to hit knockdown, punch, cut, fade, draws, and I'm going to be participating in a closest to the pin competition, where not only will you have a chance to win bragging rights, but also tickets to a Timberwolves or a Wild game as well. Plus, there are a number of 5 Iron golf. We're a test market here. A lot is riding on my shoulders to be on the official, unofficial ambassador to Minnesota Golf. It's a test market to see how successful 5 Iron golf can be there. I think there's 30 locations across the country. And so they're doing a national closest to the pin contest as well, and we're participating. First prize, oh, by the way, not only can you win a pair of tickets, the grand prize is a pair of Timberwolves tickets and a $100 Visa gift card. So maybe you can have a couple of cocktails and trip the light fantastic on the Common Man. So the winner will get Timberwolves tickets and the Visa gift card, and then the runner-up will get a pair of Wild tickets. Or maybe the winner can have his choice if he wants. I don't know, maybe they got a deal going on with the Wolves, so I shouldn't say anything. But there'll be Wolves and Wild tickets for first and second place, plus a $100 gift card will go to first place as well. And there's a national contest going on that not for the closest to the pin, but for leagues, because they're having league sign up pretty soon. Matter of fact, the leagues start February 10th. You compete over an 8-week season playing different courses in a variety of formats, win weekly prizes, giveaways, and be crowned national champ for the grand prize, a play and stay trip to Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. So a lot of cool stuff going on with 5 Iron Golf. So I would be excited and delighted to see you there on February 6th, Thursday, from 5 to 7 on the North Loop. Time for Peek at the Purple, but it brought to you by Affordable Electric. It's a family-owned oration. I've got a good vibe with the second-generation owners, Nick and Teresa, and I think they would allow me to do this because I have a good vibe. We're going to make this the Peek at the Wild right now, just because the Wild is first and foremost, as we talked about at the beginning of the program, and the announcement came.
If it were me, I would have done Peek at the Purple and talked about Brian O'Neill making the Pro Bowl. But if you want to go the Wild route, you go ahead and do the Wild route.
Well, being
that's something we need to tell everyone every 5 minutes.
Being the seventh alternate is pretty impressive.
Yes.
There's no question about that. So our Peek at the Purple, what would be the alliteration for our woes of the Wild? Because it's a woe right now. It was announced during the Paul Allen project. Is that correct?
They did a press conference at 11, like a brief press conference, though most of the media was on their way to Toronto. So then they jumped on Paul Allen's right after that.
And it was announced that Kirill Kaprizov will be out for up to 4 weeks. He's having some kind of lower body surgery. Tend to be, we talked about this over and over and over again. This is the last year of the onerous. Can you see if that's even a word? Onerous?
Onerous?
Onerous. The onerous contracts or former contracts. We still have a Parisian suitor. They're 98. Onerous, not onerous, onerous. And what is onerous?
Burdensome, oppressive, troublesome, causing hardship.
Would you say that's what those Parisian suitor contracts have been doing the last couple of years?
Just right now.
They've been onerous. Onerous. Is it onerous? Was that what it said? It was onerous? Onerous. And so then one more year, and then we're free of them. And then we thought, then we'll be back in a position where we can start spending a little bit more money. Cash flow will be better, et cetera, et cetera. But then this year they got off to a really good start. The goaltender was brilliant early. I don't know how he's playing now, but I know he was.
It's gone downhill a little bit.
Yeah, but he was brilliant early on. He was the best goaltender in the National Hockey League. And Kaprizov got off to the best start of his career. They were already talking, which trophy is Vezina's for goaltender,
yes.
Right? What's the name of the Hart Trophy?
Yes.
For best forward or center or defenseman or whatever it is, or
MVP, yeah.
MVP. He was in the Hart Trophy conversation. Had some other injuries, but this team has still been playing well. I think a surprise to most people. Let's say Kaprizov was not going in for surgery. Is this a team where you kind of go, hey, we could maybe make a trade or something? We may as well take this as far as we can go, even though I think most people think they're still probably a player or two away from being a really Stanley Cup contending kind of a team. But it's always nice to make postseason play, Tennessee, sell some extra tickets for home playoff games and such like that. We're always selling hopium here. Does that change at all what you think they might have been planning as we approach trade deadline with the possibility for sure for 4 weeks, who knows, could be season ending? Do you think this changes the strategy in the front office with the Minnesota Wild or not?
Well, I don't think they were going to be able to do much if they had Kaprizov.
Okay.
They were so uptight against the salary cap that for them to acquire somebody, you would have to trade somebody out. So, it's not like you're just adding someone on for the last month or two of the season going into the playoffs. Now, I am not a salary cap expert, but I do wonder with Kaprizov's injury, if he is placed on long-term injured reserve, if you can now recoup, the balance he has left on his cap hit for this season, and then now that now becomes salary cap space.
Okay.
Right? Like, let's face it, teams over the last couple of years, the Vegas Golden Knights have been notorious at it, have circumvented the salary cap by having, a guy like Mark Stone on long-term injured reserve. He doesn't play all season. But once you get to the playoffs, you can go over the cap. It doesn't matter anymore. Like the salary cap. So it's funny how Mark Stone would magically just be 100% come playoff time while they were able to go out and acquire somebody else to fill that salary cap space. And now they play in the playoffs with more salary than everybody else. So I do wonder now we're a good chunk of the way through the season, so it's not like you'd have, if Kaprizov had been out all year, you're talking, $9-10 million where you could free up. Now it's, halfway through. But I'm guessing if he was on long-term injured reserve and he'd have to be out the rest of the year, a regular season, they'd probably fill up or free up $4.5 million where you could still acquire somebody.
Sure. Okay.
So I think it's possible now you could acquire someone to fill his spot, but then he'd have to be out the entire regular season, and you'd have to make the playoffs and hope he gets to the playoffs.
Right.
Without having him on board.
So,
but if he's the minimum 4 weeks, if he's back in 4 weeks, you're not going to do that. But if he's going to be out for a while, you could take that risk.
Yeah. Someone says that, courtesy our Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686 said, Russo posted the Wild can't do the LTIR thing to afford a big trade because it's not a season-ending surgery. But could it turn into season-ending surgery? Can they all of a sudden do the surgery and then they come out and say it was more serious than we thought, and this is probably going to keep him out the rest of the year?
Yeah,
that's what I don't know. I don't know how that works with surgery. How about Tenneby? Someone thought view from the fuse because fuse box, and it's affordable electric. So, because we have Peek at the Purple.
Brilliant.
View from the fuse.
View from the fuse.
Or how about Foresight from the fuse?
Brilliant.
I don't know. But we thank our friends at Affordable Electric. No job is too small. They pride themselves on being your old home specialist. Invite Affordable Electric to your home and let them conduct a whole home electrical safety inspection. That is their top priority.
I was kind of thinking squint at the Skatriots.
We could send that to rewrite, let them punch it up, but I don't mind that. That's got potential. There's no question about that. So anyway,
or stare at the Skatriots.
Affordable Electric, affordable/electric.com. Remember, Affordable Electric. They're shockingly affordable. Someone sent, speaking of the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, they sent a text that said, why are you hating on Brian O'Neill? Well, we're not. Maybe, sometimes, if you're watching a show like one of the more popular shows of recent vintage was called Breaking Bad. And there's one episode after another. And sometimes if you've not followed all the episodes, you're not up to date on what it is. Someone sent us a text yesterday, said, what are you avoiding the Brian O'Neill news? And the Brian O'Neill news was he was named to the Pro Bowl, but he's the seventh alternate for the team. So I think even Brian O'Neill would say that's really not newsworthy. It's not that big of a deal. So we're not hating on Brian O'Neill. We're more poking fun at the email. I couldn't believe we weren't talking about it.
Yeah.
And
couldn't believe we weren't talking about KOC. Yeah.
Right.
Winning coach of the year every 5 minutes.
I will say this, Tenneby. You can downplay the seventh alternate on right tackle, but 98% of the people on earth couldn't be the seventh alternate.
Sure.
That's a callback to another bit. Which one was that? PA said
NHL. Yeah.
PA said something about 98% of the planet couldn't do something, which would mean 160 million people. When you think of 2%. You'd have to have been there, I guess. We'll break and we'll come back.
I love that one.
Another athlete that's come around that at least, I don't know if he's come around to my way of thinking, but he believes what I've always believed. We'll take a look at that next. Common Man Proto and the Fan.
ready to experience the raw energy of 9 Inch Nails live.
9 Inch Nails.
Trent Reznor and the band are hitting the road for an electrifying tour you won't want to miss. Catch them at XL Energy Center on August 17th for a night of unforgettable music and intense performances. Tickets go on sale this Wednesday at noon. Get all the details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
The song you're hearing right now is not 9 Inch Nails, just in case you were confused. Couple 13, 14.
I think I'd rather go to this concert, though.
I might be with you on that.
Yeah.
It sounds like I have a concert.
Yeah.
I might want to go. Couple 13, 14 pass. Did you find that open? Do we still have it?
Yeah, we still got that.
Why don't you play it for me?
It's time to enter Common Man's Pet Peeve Shop.
A lot of people have pet peeves. We all have them. One of mine over the years has been, and I blame it more on the media than anybody else. Anytime the media is writing a game or a lead up to a game or previewing a series or a competition, they'll always, it's easy. You're much like I'm just trying to fill segments each and every day. They're just trying to fill space, whether it be a newspaper, website, whatever the case may be, or talk show hosts. And they'll do the old, they're playing back-to-backs. They got a lot of travel. They're going from the East Coast over to the West Coast, and they're playing a team that didn't play. They're going to be tuckered. And they even before the game is played, they're offering up an alibi or an excuse for the team that they cover. And I've always fought that whole concept or idea. To me, it's completely preposterous. It's ridiculous. I mean, most players they're not Tom Brady, 43 years old, still playing football. Even that is a young man to me, especially if you're an athlete that keeps yourself in good shape. But most of these guys are in their 20s. They're young. They're fun. They're you and me. They take care of themselves, and they're athletic. A flight across the country and playing another team that had the night off and you played, to me, is minuscule as it gets as a reason. We've got examples since Og first beat Grog over the head with a club back in the dinosaur days, the Fred Flintstone days, of teams that have had that, and I'm using air quotes, adversity to be able and still have won a game. I saved an email that I got from Woodbury AJ back on December 7th, the day that will live in infamy, in 2023, so just over a year ago. It says, Common. Listening to Kevin Fallness filling in for PA today, I heard something during an interview with Bill Guerin that confirmed and justified what I've always said regarding travel. Around 9:10 on Thursday, that would have been 12/7/2023, Fallness asked Guerin about the strange back and forth travel of their current West Coast trip, Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, Seattle. Guerin basically shrugged it off. Paraphrasing him, he stated, you know what? It just doesn't matter. We're pretty spoiled. We fly great, stay in great hotels. It's not an issue. Just get on your private charter to get to get you there. Stay in your 5-star hotel room, eat a great meal, and you'll be fine to play the game. Further evidence, you provided it to me, and a number of other emailers or listeners did via email. Tend to be his Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak.
Yes.
Some people pronounce his first name Giannis, which is how you pronounce it. Others, including legendary broadcasters, will say Giannis. Why they're using a G, I don't know, but they'll call him Giannis when it's really Giannis. But I kind of like that. I use them both. Giannis, whatever you want to do. I'll Giannis with you. I use them both. Hello, heyo, half second. Here's what Antetokounmpo said about a recent travel situation with the Milwaukee Bucks. Throughout the day, I was just trying to stay locked in. This is not the toughest conditions that I've played basketball. The only difference is that we had to take a flight. At the end of the day, if you call this adversity, I think the team responded very well facing this adversity, that we had to take a flight for 2 hours before the game. At the end of the day, we still woke up in a 5-star hotel, had breakfast, sit down as a team, talked as a team while we were waiting for the bus. We had a pretty nice bus ride. Then we went to our plane, charter plane, private plane. Everybody has their own seat. You can order some food on the plane. Get some fruit if you want. They have drinks too. After that, your cars are warm right in front of the plane waiting for you. You get in your car and you get to the arena in like 15 minutes. And after that, You do your routine and you get ready for the game. For me, those conditions are not that bad. I've been in way worse conditions in my life, but if you want to call this adversity, I'm happy and proud of how the team responded. Even though we did all that, we were locked in and came in here to win. And all I ask is that the people that work for the fish wraps all across the country, for the websites, for the Athletic and everything, listen to what these athletes say. I know you're looking for an angle. You have to fill space. You got to find something else. One of the best players in the NBA tells you it's not a big deal. It's the 5-star hotels. It's the first-class travel on charter. Their cars, tend to be, when I came back from Palm Springs with the family, good for me. Deuce and I had to, walk and go out. We parked on site, and we had to walk through had to go and get our car. It's freezing outside. Turn on the car, let it warm. These guys walk off the plane, and their cars are parked in front of the plane. The Range Rovers, the Lamborghinis, the Range Rovers, the Lamborghinis, the Teslas. They don't do Tesla. They're doing Bentleys and they're doing McLarens. They're doing really expensive automobiles. And they're warmed up for them, just sitting there. They crawl inside. I just love it because I often get pushback from people on that pet peeve and my pet peeve pet shop because it's part of the idolization and pedestalization that we have for athletes. We're going to get more of it. That someone, yesterday we talked about how, for me, it's getting to the point where I'm growing a little. I admire what Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey and all the other Chiefs have accomplished, but I kind of want to share the wealth a little bit. I'd like to see some other team get to the big game. They've been there have they played 7 of the last AFC championship games?
7 in a row.
Yeah, 7 in a row. AFC championship games, and if they advance now to 4 or 5 big games,
well, they've won 3 big games,
and they probably were.
I think they lost one of them.
Yeah, they lost one of them. So this is their 5th then in that stretch. And I admire it, and hey, tip my cap to him or my helmet. But I'd still I'd rather have seen Josh Allen get his. And again, it's not that I feel sorry for Josh. It would be just cool to see another guy get an opportunity. You look at the Josh Allen numbers, and I did look at them. It's here it is. So I picked this out of a piece I read. It says, again, falling to the Chiefs in the playoffs has been the massive hurdle in front of Allen getting over the hump and reaching his first ever big game. He currently has the most playoff wins, 7, by any quarterback without a big game start. And that's largely due to the Chiefs. Against all other playoff opponents, Allen is 7-2. Against Kansas City, he's 0-4. So he's 7-6 in postseason play. And you'd say, well, that's not bad. I mean, he's played a lot of playoff games, but he's lost 6 of them, almost half. There's, just 1 game shy, 1 loss shy of half. But then when you look that they've happened to the Chiefs, and for me,
they've been in 5 of the last 6 big games now, including this upcoming one.
So 5 of the last 6 games, and I know you love it, and I'm not trying to change your mind. You can love the dynasty because people do appreciate that, and I do appreciate it. But it's okay, I get to the point where enough is enough. Wouldn't mind seeing somebody else. When it's as much as I liked watching Woods compete, I was rooting for Chris DeMarco that day. Remember Rocco Mediate, our buddy here that's over at the Golden Valley Country Club? He had an 18-hole playoff. The U.S. Open with Tiger Woods. I was rooting for Rocco Mediate. That would have been he's never won a major. That would have been his crowning achievement, and to slay Tiger Woods, what that would have meant for him professionally and just personally to him to be able to have that. It's not necessarily I was rooting against Tiger to lose. I was rooting for Rocco to win.
You like an underdog story.
And when Tiger did win, it wasn't like I was, so sick of Tiger. No, just want somebody else. I think part of it with me is I still go back to that. Was that a Netflix special, Quarterback it was called, where they did Mariota, our guy Kirk O'Chains, and Mahomes. And they had Mahomes wired for sound. And he did that thing. And again, I know they all have enormous egos. I mean, I have one myself. The only thing bigger than my ego is my prostate. But he's running up and down the field going, that's what I do. That's what I do. We're happy for you. Yeah, you do it, but you have a lot of help. You have a guy that is a genius when it comes to offensive game plans.
Yeah.
He's one of the most creative guys in the history of the game. Might be the best coach ever to coach the pigskin. And yeah, he's got a great offensive line. He's got other weapons. Some weapons are better than others from year to year. The defense is really good, but that's what I do. That's what I say, okay. I'm getting a little bit tired of it. But so that's why, for me, I was sort of pulling for Josh Allen. And then I do like the story. I mean, we've just not. When was Buffalo's last big game loss? I mean, they lost 4 in a row. So it was 91, 92, 93. So it was 1994. Maybe it was the 94 season going into 95. I don't recall how that works. Was the last time they were in a big game. So that's been.
It was the 93 season, but played in 1994.
Okay, so 94 to 94 to 04 to 14 to 24. It's 30 plus years. And then the Vikings, when was their last? Was theirs the 76 to 77 season or 77 to 78?
76 season, played in 1977.
Yeah. So think how long it's been for the Vikings. And so I like that. I think we're always looking for stories, sidebar stories other than just the game, especially with the big game. Matter of fact, they get to the point where they get a little bit ridiculous. They have so much time to fill in the 2 weeks leading up to the big game. And then, of course, they do the pregame show for the big game runs like 9 hours. So they start interviewing. They'll interview like Pat Mahomes' 3rd grade teacher. And about how she knew there was something special about him, the way he looked at the isosceles triangle. It's like, when is enough enough? So to me, again, what are they going to say now? What they already haven't said, and I don't watch the pre-games, but for those that do, what can they say about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, who's their defensive lineman, Chris Jones? What can they say about these guys that they haven't already said? They've said everything we need to know about him. I feel like I'm related to Patrick Mahomes. I feel like Kelsey's like my big brother. Only because of his size. I'd be his big brother because I'm older than he is. The Josh Allen story, we know that as well, but how much fun would it be? Like if the Vikings went in with the Bills, now you got all the stories about how you get to watch how bad it was losing 4. And there's... What's worse tend to be Vikings losing 4 over, was that about a 6 season spread?
70 to 77.
Or losing 4 in a row. Getting back every year. Now, this is the one. You lost the first one, and that was the most heartbreaking probably because that was the one where Norwood missed the figgy that would have given him the win.
The last couple were blowouts.
Yeah, they just got destroyed. And so...
Lost to Dallas 52-17, then lost to Dallas 30-13.
Ugh. And then they lost to Washington once, and what was that score?
That was 37-24. That was the second year.
Yeah, so again, that was the one that was
Metrodome.
I was there for that game. 5 minutes after the game, I was on the field slapping Troy Aikman. No, I wasn't.
He wasn't in that game.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. No. Who was it?
It was Washington and Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, Washington. That's right. I was on the field. Mark Rippon. No, Joe Theismann.
Mark Rippon.
I was on the field slapping Mark Rippon on the back. So I would have liked to have the Buffalo Strix, and then they would have done the old, I can just see it now. They would show the smokestacks of blue-collar city, Buffalo, New York. They loved their football. Been in the same stadium. I could write this stuff for them. And then they would show Jack Kemp, future congressman. He played pro football and he ended up being a state senator or, United States senator. They'd show back when they first came into the league with the goofy looking logo with the, no wonder there are any Buffalo left. Have you ever seen the logo on the side of the Buffalo Bills helmet where the Buffalo just standing stupidly waiting to be shot or hit with an arrow?
That one. It's
like, yeah, you might want to move around a little bit. Got a better chance to survive. And then they'd show OJ, even though we know OJ's post-retirement life. He's dead now, isn't he?
Yes.
Didn't he die? And then you would have the 4 loss in a row. They'd quote Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas. Who was the defense?
Bruce Smith, Andre Reed.
Yeah, and you'd hear from the fans. I think that was prior to Bill's Muff. I would like that.
Yeah, they would also do the segment on the art of jumping onto a folding table.
Right, yes. Yep. And now instead, I'm going to find out that when he was in kindergarten, Kelsey was also in ballet. Boondele Sauve. Boondele Sauve. I don't want to hear any more about Kansas City. And Philadelphia, they've been there 2 of the last 3 years.
Well, at least with the Chiefs now, the angle is going to be DeAndre Hopkins. You've been in the league so long.
Yeah.
At the end of your career, this is, maybe a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
And this is your first chance at a big game trophy.
Yeah, I guess.
That'll be one of the segments, feature stories.
That one pales in comparison to talking to Bill's Mafia or Jim Kelly, I think. But you're right. That's the challenge in who gets the big game this year. Is it NBC, Fox, or CBS?
I thought I saw Tom Brady was on the call, so I think it might be Fox.
Okay. So that's the challenge of the Fox behind-the-scenes segment people. Because I do believe that pregame starts as early as I think ESPN starts just 2 days before. But I do know that Fox and NBC, CBS, whoever has it starts at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning for a 5:40 kickoff, right? So they got 6 hours to fill. That's a lot of feature stories. There's a lot of different angles you have to take. And when you've covered a team this many times for so many years, I know enough about them, and I'm sorry. And it's not like I'm going to be bitter and angry and lose any sleep over it. I'm a share the wealth kind of a guy. I'd like to have seen Buffalo. I mean, the ideal big game, and this has been talked about before. It's not like I'm breaking anything, coming up with some new idea, but really, Buffalo against Minnesota would have been the best. The 2 old.
Somebody's always got to go.
Yeah, somebody's always got to go. You got 2 0-4 clubs. I mean, Minnesota, I think this stat's been out there before we've probably even used it ourselves. When you look at just from 1961 to now, we're one of the, as far as wins goes, we're one of the most successful franchises in pro football history, are we not?
For just pure winning percentage, they're top 7.
Yeah. My guess, I don't know where Buffalo is because I think they were
They had a lot of down
woebegone.
years.
They were woebegone for a long, long time. But, they had that stretch, obviously, in the 90s and where they went to 4 big games, as we just mentioned. And then, of course, under Josh Allen, the team has been really good. They're in the. We've talked about under Allen, he's had 13 playoff games.
So the best winning percentage is Dallas.
Okay.
Then Green Bay, then Baltimore, then Chicago.
Okay.
Obviously, it goes back to 1920.
Yes, correct.
Same with Green Bay. New England, Miami, Kansas City, then the Vikings are 8th, right in front of the 49ers.
Yeah, where do the Bills fall in that place?
22nd.
Where are the Kitties? I mean, because they had success back. They were also 1920s, 30s kind of a club, but
Detroit is 26th.
Yeah, well, that's because of all those.
They're ahead of the Jets, Falcons, Texans, Jaguars, Cardinals, and Buccaneers.
Which isn't much to be proud of.
The Buccaneers were bad for a really long time.
Well, exactly. They were the 0-14. They had the coach that said, wasn't it his team? What's his face? How do you feel about the execution of your team? A wall fort? Wasn't that Tampa Bay? Yeah, whatever team it was very good. I can't remember the coach's name now. But, yeah, so...
If Fox had any sense of humor at all, they would go, hey, we know Buffalo didn't make it, but we already had this segment in the hopper all ready to go. So we don't know if they're ever going to get here, so let's play it anyway.
I think that's not a bad idea. Yeah. I would put together a segment. This is how, do a montage. This is how our pregame show would have looked. If these would have been some of the segments we had, that would have been a really good idea. But it just wasn't meant to be. And so...
That's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
Yeah. Great song by John Cougar Mellencamp. I'm looking forward to... I will be rooting for the Eagles. And I know why Viking fans don't like Philadelphia. It's their fan base. They were apparently... they were just vicious. I mean, they actually... I think some of the behavior toward Viking fans was actually criminal, from what I gathered.
Yes.
And so I understand that. I also heard Detroit treated Minnesota fans pretty bad too.
Really?
I heard reports that their fan base was very big. I think that's just deep seated because they've been so bad for so many years that they saw Viking fans there and said, "Don't do this to us, man. Get out of here." Now I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that I'm thinking the mindset is, what are you doing here? Which again is sad. I will say this about Green Bay, Tennessee. And I've been to Green Bay games wearing a lot, maybe part of it's they're not worried about the Lions, right? But when I would wear Lion gear to Green Bay, Detroit games, it would just be friendly ribbing. There was never any, throwing 4-letter words around. I mean, I remember one time I was wearing the Lions letter jacket that I gave to Deuce, a wonderful father-son moment. Maybe for Deuce and I, we were always close as a father and son, but that really, when I gave him that Lions letter jacket to wear, I wore it to a Green Bay game once, and I'm going down the stairs to get to my seat, and as I'm walking down, a Green Bay fan on either side would push my shoulder gently, push me toward that side, that stands on that side of the aisle, and the other one would push me back the other way and push me back, so I'm going back and forth, getting gently pushed. It was funny. It was a cool bit, So those fans get, but apparently they're not like that in Detroit and certainly not in Philadelphia. So
why can't adults just be adults?
Well, it's a lot of people are saying the same thing. I don't know. They just can't do it. So let's take a break. We'll come back. Tennessee's got 5-3-4 at the top of the hour. We also have a giveaway to get to today. Another $100 gift card from 5 Iron Golf in the legendary Mark Rosen at 2. But right now, a keyword, Tenna?
Not a keyword.
I'm sorry,
I can tease 5 questions. Yeah, the Wolves won, and we're grumpy about it.